Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to talk about why the left is so delusional, and then I'm going to tie into this topic some social issues. Now, when you hear the mainstream media talk about any type of issues, they're all playing on the same, they're all playing in the same playbook. Identity politics, they're very delusional. And the left thinks the right is a violent type of group. Think about that now. The left thinks it's the right. Now, with all these shootings at churches, it's not the right, it's the left. Now, the left, the only thing that they can really use against the right would be Timothy McVeigh. But I believe Timothy McVeigh was anti government. Now, if you look at the left, tomorrow the government's supposed to shut down. Now, what the left wants is for the Trump administration to give them all the entitlements. See, when you look at the left in this country, they really don't have anything to offer. The left, they're takers. And when they don't get their way, they become very violent. Now, what the left is trying to do is to use reverse psychology by making out the right to be the violent, the right to be uncaring, the right to be against all of the entitlements, the right to be the non-compassionate ones, while the left believes that they're the most compassionate individuals. Well, if you really look at everything, the left in this country, think about this. The left really doesn't like businesses unless they're nonprofit. The left doesn't really want individuals to own anything. They would rather for individuals to continually rent. The left does not look at buying homes, equity for homes, tax write offs. The left would rather have self driving cars to pick individuals up, drop them off. But when you have those types of cars, to program these cars, self driving cars, you can actually have one of these cars drive into a bad neighborhood. But see, that's what the left wants. The left wants to control every aspect of our lives. I mean, look at Mamdani. He really believes that communism doesn't work. See, the left is against everything traditional, and it's gotten bad, and it's really leaked into these black pastors. Now, I've gotten on a number of these black pastors out here. These black pastors, because it was let me tell you something. It was this. I don't know this gentleman, and this is what the left is doing. They love to put people against each other, black against white, rich against poor, young against old. This is what the left does. But you know what else does that? It's what religion does as well. See, I believe in God, but one thing I can tell you about organized religion is basically used to control the masses of people. And when you put everything together, what the left wants to do is dumb everybody down. But the left is using the tactics that the right's the fascist, the right is anti government, the right, they're nationalists. Well, you should be proud of your country. And see, the problem with the left doesn't like successful people. They rather people be oppressed and dependent on them. See, the left wants universal basic income. And the problem with the left in this country, they want to create this utopia. And this utopia where people are basically, they're poor. See, one aspect of capitalism that the left doesn't understand is that it's a lot of competition with capitalism. Well, the left doesn't like capitalism. The reason why they don't like capitalism because they either can't compete or they don't want to compete. The left believes in government. Now, you see who's getting laid off on a lot of government jobs. People keep saying it's black women. No, it's women, period. Women get the benefit of the DEI, even if they're not qualified. Now, are there stats out there that are misleading? And I'm going to tell you, this is the most misleading stat that you need to know. And black women used to use it back in the days. They used to say 50% of black men are in jail. Well, where do they get that from? When it really wasn't 50%. So you have a lot of narratives that come out and they bring you these statistics. And you have to be careful of these statistics. See, I've never felt for these statistics. And if you look at crime out here, the individuals who commit the most crimes out here are whites, particularly white males, because they make up a large population. Now, I'm not putting in the per capita in there because per capita is the percentage. But when it comes to the crime, yes, there is a lot of black on black crime. Now, here's the problem with a lot of crime, and that's all over that nobody's talking about. There are a lot of cases that go cold, and there are also a number of cases that are never solved. You look at a number of these missing children during human trafficking events. This is what is not being said. Now, when it comes to blacks, if you really think about it, blacks make up now 14% of the country. So if we make up 14% of the country, how do we have a 50 to 60% murder rate, black on black crime amongst black people? Well, if you heard what I just said, there's a fallacy with that number. We make up 14%. That means all black men and some black women are killing each other. Well, that number is false. This is why politicians, they love to put these numbers out to not only scare people or not only indoctrinate people into thinking the way they think, because, generally, a lot of us, when it comes to views, you hear the word conservatism and you hear the word liberal. Well, I have a lot more conservative views than liberal views. Now, here are my liberal views. Care about race. Look, I don't care about your lifestyle. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. However, don't promote your lifestyle to me because I disagree with it. Now, when it comes to foreign policy, I don't believe in giving all of our aid to other countries who don't care about us. I don't believe in policing the world. I believe in imperialism, taking care of ourselves. I don't believe in allowing illegals to come into our country to bankrupt the system. And it's the Democrats that love these migrants because the migrants will eventually become voters for them doing all of the elections to keep them in power. I don't believe in that. I believe in males heading the household. I believe in the family. Now, when it comes to religion, I do not believe in organized religion. I do not believe you have to go to church to listen to a pastor to preach all day about a scripture that he's preaching to make, particularly in the black church, black women feel good. No, I don't believe in redistribution of wealth. I believe in success. If I earn it, it should be mine to keep, and I should not be vilified for being successful. See, the left in this country does a lot of vilifying, and individuals just don't understand that because they don't know it. So, if you really think about who's committing all the violence out here, you look at all the wars, it's mostly done by white males. Some of what happened in Africa. So when it comes to black and white, your more deviant people are white males, who most of you perverts are. Now, is it in the black community? Yes. Is it in the trans community? Yes. But bottom line, who's doing all the mass shootings out here? It's the trans community. Because a number of them are, is it their fault? No. It's social media's fault. And see, what social media does, it promotes a lot of hate. And see, the left, they're very hateful. You cannot talk to anybody on the left without them getting offense. They get easily triggered, but they can say something offensive. And then they talk about free speech. See, let me tell you where the left doesn't have free speech. Let's look at The View. There's not one conservative person on The View. And I believe they don't want that. Well, is that free speech? You hear one point of view. MSNBC, one point of view. CNN. Now, you have Scott Jennings. But outside of Scott Jennings, and maybe Kevin O'Leary, you have one point of view. You look at all of your colleges, one point of view. You look at what happened when these white guys who had MAGA hats went to an HBCU. The funny thing about it is they weren't welcome. The media didn't say one iota about it. But had it been the other way around, there would have been riots out in the street. You would have heard Ben Crump. Ben Crump would have been coming for some money. But this is what's going on in this country with the left. The left wants to rule every aspect of our lives. And, they're getting people out there like Antifa. And by the way, a lot of these protesters out there, they're paid protesters. Some of them are getting $10,000 per protest. Heck, $10,000. So you go to 3 protests in a weekend. That's $30,000 a year. You can make a living just protesting. Even if you don't do anything. Not a bad gig. But see, the left is making the right out to be the ones who are the most violent. You hear ICE. Some of the people are going against ICE. ICE is just doing their job. But see, the left doesn't like it because the left is easily triggered. And they've always been triggered. You turn on, remember, you looked at my video last week. I told you about the 5 power conferences of society, which where I got that from was from college football, when they had 5 power conferences like the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten. Then it was the Pac-12 and the Big 12. They were always the ones that were getting the recognition for all the bowl games. So I took the 5 power conferences of college football and I looked at really the five areas of culture. So I call them the five power conferences of society. That's your job, government, your religion, your media, and your education. And the reason why I came up with that is because the left in this country, since the 1960s, has spread into all those areas within our culture like a cancer. And no matter what the right does, I'm just going to say this: you're never going to get rid of it. Because once you get cancer, you'll eventually check out. Well, the left has already gotten the cancer, but they're not checking out. What they're doing is they keep spreading the cancer, and they're spreading it to children. See, this is why you want to get the children involved, because the children don't know anything. Children are very gullible. You want to get everybody while they're young. That's the problem. And when you look at the media, now you got Kamala Harris out there. She's for the LGBTQ community, but she said she wouldn't pick. She said she wouldn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he was gay. Well, wait a minute now. You're liberal, and I'm not even going to say liberal. Liberal actually means freedom. They're leftists. These are the commies and these are the socialists. She just said that wouldn't be a good brand if her and Pete Buttigieg or Booty Jiggle were on the same ticket. See, this is what the Democrats do. The leftist Democrats. They think nobody is watching, but in the end, we are watching. This is why there's so many people coming on YouTube exposing their bullshit out there. Because that's all the Democrats are doing. You have Hakeem Jeffries getting up there saying, well, Trump wants to shut the government down or he's going to fire people. Well, you got a number of individuals that aren't doing anything on these government jobs. Why should they have a job? And see, what it is you have a lot of women who work in these government jobs because it's easy work. They can get on Facebook all day. They can talk on the phone all day. They can play games all day. They're not doing much work. See, when you get in the private sector, you have to compete. Because if you're not making your company any money, you're going to get laid off. But see, a number of women are finding out that even in the government, you get laid off. You don't need big government. You need functional government. We have so many bureaucrats who've been in government for a long time, they don't understand what it is to compete. But remember, the taxpayers are still paying pensions for government employees who've been forced to retire, who've been in there for 20, 30, 40 years. So although Doge did have some impact, taxpayers are still paying the pensions. Now, this is the civil service government now. It's not the military. Military is a lot different. The military, you get paid based on your TIS, time in service, and rank. And even when you get promoted to the next rank, now, I was in the Navy. You had to take a test to make rank. Now, here's what you don't understand. In the Navy, if you pass your test, let's say you go from E4 to E5, and the cutting score was 154. and you get a 154. Yes, you pass in advance, but because your score was the lowest, it's going to take you a longer time to get paid. Now, they'll frock you, but you're really an E4 until you get paid as an E5. But now, if you make the first increment based on a highest score, then you'll be recognized. But I always thought fracking was a feel good venture for the military anyway. So, in the military, you make your next rank based on getting paid for the next rank. That's what they do in the military. But going to what's happening is everybody against Christians? Because the left still believes it's the right that went in there and shot up that church in Michigan. And there's still not a lot of gracious information coming out on what really happened to Charlie Kirk. A lot of people who don't even know about Charlie Kirk. And you get black people who say, oh, he's racist. See, let me tell you all something too when it comes to watching videos, clips. This is why I don't play a lot of clips, because what happens is people play the clip and listen to the parts that they believe in. You got to hear the whole video. Bottom line is the media doesn't play the whole video. And you got people like Roland Martin still acting the fool. Don Lemon. In fact, Don Lemon said that all white men are violent. But he's got a white man fucking him in his ass and he's sucking on a white man's dick. Yeah, it's harsh what I just said. He's with a white man. Lori Lightfoot talked about racism. But you know, Lori Lightfoot is with a white woman. Now it's kind of even funny. Nobody's mentioned this. Even in the same sex relationships, when it comes to blacks and whites, I don't see people like Wanda Sykes, Lori Lightfoot with another black woman, Robin Roberts. She used to work on Channel 2 in Baltimore. She's on ESPN. Name is Lisa. She's with a white lady. They're down in, and I know this, they live down in Nashville, Tennessee. She's not with another black woman. But nobody's calling that out. Because you want to know the relationships that have the highest domestic violence? It's women, particularly black women, because you have two individuals who want to be the boss of the relationship. That's the bottom line. And they don't get along. But you have Don Lemon talking about white men being violent, but he's got one. Now, how is his partner going to feel about that? You're talking about white men, but you have one. See, this is very easy to pick apart the left's arguments because they're hypocritical with what they say. See, they talk about authoritarianism when really they're the authoritarian people. They talk about free speech, but really they want their speech. You don't see the right going after ICE. It's the left. You see, one thing that individuals must understand with the left, they never grew up. These are individuals who believe that they're entitled. In fact, if you look at the grocery prices, so Kamala Harris, talk about, oh, grocery prices and products are so high. Well, let me tell you why grocery prices are high, which they're really not that depending on where you live. Well, the reason why everything is so high is you got too many Americans who go out and eat all this processed food. They don't know how to cook, particularly in the cities. They're going to cafes. They're paying $10 for Starbucks coffee. They're going to a cafe, buying a small bowl, let's say a spaghetti is costing $20. They're spending all their money eating out. Now, a smart way to do food, you want to save money? Learn how to portion your food. With this processed food here in America, if you're active enough, you can eat one, maybe 2 meals a day. Cook your food. Buy in bulk if you have to. If you have to. See, the left doesn't think like that. See, what the left wants you to do is they want you to eat out all the time. The left is really about being entertained, but they have a lot of mental issues. And what I find with the left is there's the princess syndrome, because this is why the feminists, they're not really looking for equality. They're looking to be the supreme gender for doing nothing. I mean, if you look at all of the TV shows, now I've been watching Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black. I watched Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and they got a lot of the women who are in charge of men. And the men on that show are weak men. Queen Latifah, Equalizer. And see, the left promoted all this. And see, the big thing about the left really wants to continue to emasculate men. Let's just be honest. They don't like men who have the bullish attitude. I mean, I hear the term alpha and beta. I don't see too many real alpha males out there because they might call themselves alpha males, but they're really undercover simps. They sound tough on the outside, but they're soft on the inside. I look at a lot of these football players out here, these athletes. These guys cry. I mean, they don't play football like they used to. When I played, they had bump and run. These individuals, they get all these high salaries. And I'm not criticizing Lamar Jackson plays for the Ravens. And I love my Baltimore Ravens, but I will tell you this, they're not going to win with Lamar Jackson. Paid them all that money. And with the Ravens, they're good on paper. Yeah, I know there are individuals who are hurt. And this is a lot of football teams. That's why the NFL, if you look at it right now, again, I'm doing social topics as well. You look at the NFL right now, you don't have quarterbacks out there like Bob Greasy, Ken the Snake Stabler. I grew up with those quarterbacks. Kenny Anderson, Brian Sipe, Johnny Unitas, Bert Johnson. I can name you a lot of quarterbacks, and even black quarterbacks like Warren Moon, Joe Gilliam, James Harris, Doug Williams, Boomer Esiason. Remember Boomer Esiason at Maryland? Neil O'Donnell. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tommy Maddox. Ravens broke them up before old Big Ben came in there. But you don't have real dynasties like you did in the 70s. Because they want to, again, football, this salary cap is to create a utopia to make everything equal. But the worst teams get the best picks. But you cannot have a good team with just the best picks. You need a mix of everybody. You need a good front office. You look at Cleveland. Yes, I'm putting sports in. Look at Cleveland. Ever since Cleveland left for Baltimore, first Cleveland Browns team. And it's kind of funny with the Cleveland Browns. When the Colts moved out here to now my city of Indianapolis, Baltimore didn't get a team. They didn't get an expansion team at all. Yeah, they had the Baltimore Stars when the Philadelphia Stars from the old USFL. That's the USFL. This is when you had Herschel. This is when you had a bunch of guys in there. Jim Kelly. Those guys went to the NFL and performed. Reggie White. They were all part of the Sam Mills. They all played for the USFL and went to the NFL and produced. That's right. But you had dynasties. Who was the team of the 60s? I'd say the teams of the 60s were the Baltimore Colts and the Green Bay Packers, and going back to the late 50s, the Colts, the Browns. That's when they had the old NFL, AFL. Buffalo and the Chargers, when the old AFL. That's why I say you Buffalo fans up there, you have won championships. Just because, to me, a championship is a championship. Super Bowl, they came up with that from the college games. That's what they came up with, the Super Bowl. So everybody would watch because it's the Super Bowl. And they came up with that when the NFL and AFL played together. But they had the NFL championship and the AFL championship. A championship, in my opinion, is a championship. Same as NCAA basketball. You win the NIT, you win a championship. I don't care if it's as big or not. Bottom line, if you can get to the top of the pinnacle, like I remember when I went to Virginia Union, Malcolm Barnwell was there. He played for the Raiders. Virginia Union, they were definitely the champs in football and basketball in the CIAA. That's Division II, but it's a championship. And now, where am I going with all this? I'm telling you all this because you look at football today. You don't have those dynasties. Football, with the salary cap, what do? They create a utopia. In other words, they want parity. I don't like parity. And I'm going to tell you how parity doesn't work. Parity just waters down everything. And now you have parity and you have the rules because they want offense to dominate everything. You look at basketball. You don't have too many people like Dennis Rodman playing basketball, doing all the dirty work. You got everybody out there shooting the three. That's what everybody wants. You're a good shooting guard. You can shoot it from downtown. You look at baseball. You don't have people like Lou Brock, Ty Cobb stealing bases. I mean, the last person to steal 100 bases was the late Ricky Henderson. So what they do to try to get everything back is they try to put in all these fancy rules. Like baseball, they got the ghost runner. In other words, when a game goes 2 extra innings, they put a runner at second base, unless it's for the preseason. They call that safety, player safety, because they don't want long games. Oh, you gotta look, if they don't want long games, what they ought to do like they do in regular season football. Have a point system like hockey does. You get points, you get more points for winning. You get points for ties. Yeah. Hockey has ties. Baseball doesn't have ties. Now, I really don't like ties, but they've always been in football. Watch the good Dallas Green Bay game, 40-40. Bottom line is the salary caps really aren't working. And if you think in baseball, salary cap will never work. But let me tell you about baseball. You see the Yankees getting there every year, and the Yankees have bought a number of championships. And guess what? They spend a lot of money, but they haven't won a World Series in a while. Yeah, they have 27 pennants, but a lot of the Yankees pennants were really before 1960. Because after 1960, the Yankees didn't win another pennant till 76. No, they lost in 76 to the Reds. They beat the Dodgers in 77 and 78. And then they won in, I think, 98, no, 96, 98, and 2000, and 2009. So the Yankees have been around for a while. And I'm counting after 1960, the Yankees have only won 7 championships. Because they lost last year to the Dodgers. They lost in 81 to the Dodgers. They lost to the Reds in 76. They lost to Florida in 03. They lost to Arizona in 01. Yes, they beat the Phillies, but they lost to the Dodgers last year. But if you look at the cream of the crop, back in those days, the Yankees were a dynasty. The New York Islanders were a dynasty. The Montreal Canadiens were a dynasty. The Lakers, that's right. The Lakers used to play in Minneapolis, but these were dynasties. Now, what does all this have to do with politics? Well, the people who can compete and be successful and do the most work come out on top. See, the Democrats believe everybody should get a trophy. The big thing out here is, again, a lot of mental issues out here with people. You do. People aren't going to tell you that. Individuals seem to be normal. They're not normal. I mean, the Democrats are definitely, and not all the Democrats, because John Fetterman, of course, Joe Manchin, only 2 Democrats these days that have the most sense. I believe John Fetterman is an undercover Republican, and so is Joe Manchin. I mean, you don't have the Harold Fords and the Scoop Jacksons out there. You got a lot of loudmouth people, Antifa. These are individuals that run around and they're talking about, tell you something too. You got the left talking about, well, who are these ICE people behind the mask? Why don't they take their mask off? Well, why doesn't Antifa take their mask off? That hasn't been called out. And you had some black people. And this is why you have to get your facts straight too. They were saying that Kyle Rittenhouse up in Kenosha shot black people. No, he didn't. He did not. And see, when you have the people who go on OnlyFans and TikTok, so we have a lot of your ignorant people. Because really, it's the social media. Social media has taken away the real human element. And because the human element is gone, you have individuals that really have no clue of what's going on out here. I've seen individuals on the street, when you ask them who the president and the vice president are, they don't know because the schools aren't teaching them. That's what's happening. And all this utopia, this equality, it's all delusion. That's the real problem. The Democrats or the left in this country, they don't want to see reality. Nobody is listening to their views because they don't have good views. See, one thing about America that people need to understand, America is still traditional. Why? Because tradition works. Now, tradition to the left is something old, it's backwards to them. But if you look at what the Democrats are trying to do, the reason why there's so much violence, because with communism, with what the Democrats want, I mean, they're going back to Hitler with his National Socialism, and that was fascism then. But see, the Democrats, because the Democrats, on the flip side of fascism, is communism. Except the military is not coming over to take over people. That's what fascism does. You use the military to come take over people. Well, what the Democrats are doing is they're using religion, media, the court system. This is why they want to put liberal judges everywhere. These liberal judges are trying to stop Trump from putting his agenda through. The Democrats are nothing but obstructionists. When they don't get what they want, they start crying. But they're also hypocrites. The Democrats don't really care about people. You look at Obama. A number of black people voted for Obama, and Obama wasn't even black. And I saw, again, going back to Kamala Harris, she went on The View claiming that she was black. She's not black. This woman is Indian and Irish. Hell, she doesn't even have a black man. That's kind of funny with that, too. Kamala Harris didn't even marry to a black man. But now you look at Clarence Thomas, he's married to a white woman. Look at the disrespect he gets. And Ketanji Jackson, she's married to a white man. But she still gets respect. See, this is what the Democrats do. Talk about the real racists out here. It's a Democratic Party. They're delusional. They have never grown up. They talk about how educated they are. There was this one black woman saying, well, we're the most educated. No, you're not the most educated. You're the most enrolled. Now, when it comes to women overall, they're going to school more than men, but men are still making most of the money because men do the jobs that are the most hazardous jobs. Most of the women are going to school for ticky-tack jobs. Now, I'm not going to say a social worker is a ticky-tack job. The jobs that I call ticky-tack are most jobs out here that don't require a license, they're ticky-tack jobs. A social worker or psychologist, yes, you have to go get a license because you're dealing with the public. So I'm not going to knock a social worker. I'm not going to knock a psychologist. Not going to knock, but I'm not going to knock anybody who's getting up and going to work. That's the problem. The Democrats want people, they don't want people living in the country. What they really want is for people to live in all these high-rise buildings, subsidized buildings, paying rent. They don't want it to where individuals are getting something for their money. The Democrats are individuals, instead of owning a car, they want you to lease a car. In other words, they want you to constantly spend money. If you save money, in their eyes, something is wrong. That's the problem. If you are successful, something is wrong. But I know when I was coming up, that's all we heard. You need to be successful. And believe it or not, there's cities out there, and for you blacks who need to read, go look at the 10 top cities in the United States. It might not be a large black population, but they're making money. And I'm going to give you a clue. One city is in there, and you don't believe blacks live there. It's Provo, Utah. It's got a small black population, but there are, see, the media is not going to tell you this. There are black people who are making it in this country. That's why I say the black on black crime, it's in the hood. It's not 50% of black people are, no, I don't believe that statistic. 50% of black people, I mean, I don't know where they're getting these statistics from. But bottom line, the media is not going to tell you that. Poughkeepsie, New York, which is just off of the New York Thruway in US 9, which I've been there, right off the Hudson River, where black people are living. But you would not know that because the media isn't telling you that. See, the media skips over a lot. That's the problem. Now, I'm telling you this because I'm out there watching everything. That's why I'm coming to you with a realistic perspective. And I'm telling you, don't listen to the left. The left has nothing to offer. They're not going to have anything to offer. It's the left in this country who are the most violent. And the reason, again, why they're violent, because number one, they have a lot of mental issues. They're delusional. They want people to accept them for who they are. Well, be you. But the problem is they want individuals to like who they are and agree with who they are or their lifestyle. And if you don't, that's when they have issues. And you cannot talk to a person on the left without them getting deep in their feelings. I see the TV shows when I go on CNN, MSNBC, and let me tell you something too. Just because you can overtalk somebody, it doesn't mean you're intelligent. It doesn't mean you're winning an argument either. I know when I go here on Black YouTube, I see a number of panels, and the women think because they're cutting somebody off or they're loud talking somebody just to be heard, they're saying something. Doesn't mean you're delivering anything with any type of substance at all. It does not mean it at all. See, that's that delusion. And you have a number of people who have schizophrenia. That's right. You have a number of them that need to be diagnosed by a real psychologist. Bring on somebody like Dr. Phil, because you have a number of individuals who, in my humble opinion, should be put in a mental institution. Unfortunately, Reagan got rid of all the mental institutions. It's time to bring them back, because it used to be back in the days when you were crazy, they're going to put you in that jacket, they're going to haul you right off into the mental institution. And some people need to be in a mental institution. And that includes individuals who are going to school and they have PhD by their name. In fact, some of the psychologists, they're crazy themselves. It's marriage counselors. That's the problem. And see, when you don't look at what's going on out there, you're going to be fooled. But that's what the left wants to do. The left wants to fool you into making it out as if it's the right. And when you're hearing Nazism, fascism, what are they painting swastikas on the right now? I have not seen one person from the right walk out there with a swastika. But the ones that are doing the shooting out here from the left. You look at what's going on in Portland. You got Antifa trying to go up against ICE. Now you have troops in Chicago, ICE. And you have people out there trying to get in ICE's faces. What they ought to do is just turn the camera off, and ICE needs to just slam one of them. And see all this real light policing. Now, I'm not saying all the police are correct with what they do. But then when you water down what the police can do, that emboldens the citizen to disrespect the police officer. And they can use his job against him. But you know what happened? The left got a taste of their own medicine. Had a number of individuals out there who got on social media and they were jumping on Charlie Kirk's grave. And guess what? They lost their jobs. And see, one thing about the right, the left is not going to come out in the areas where the right lives because the right is basically on. See, what the left does, the left, they're cowards. They're going to these churches because they hate Christianity. So who are the people that are your Christians? Going after kids, defenseless individuals. They're cowards. They're not going to go after anybody who's going to go against them, who's going to shoot back at them. No, I don't see it happening. Like I said, with the left in this country, the left, they're very, very weak people. They are. And when you look at social media has brainwashed a lot of people. This is why you need to be careful with what you watch on social media. And I'm going back to say this. You can play clips all day, but you should be able to have some substance behind that clip. The media doesn't play the whole clip. I mean, I heard and seen on a video Don Lemon out there after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. She tried to get he was talking to a black woman, got surprised. That black woman didn't believe in what he was saying. And see, you have people like Brian Stelter, all these news personalities, Roland Martin. A number of these individuals that don't know what they're talking about. And I believe a number of them have mental issues. And it's not in the DSM-5, but delusion is a big issue. And they want to make them put themselves on a high horse. It's just like Kendra G asked somebody on the radio show today, or was it today? It was a video out. And it was a Middle Eastern man. And the Middle Eastern man said, the man is the prize. We bring things to the table. She didn't want to hear that because she believes that the woman's the prize. But see, Kendra G is also brainwashed by liberal media. She believes that I can freeze my eggs and I can get married later and have a career. Well, she's finding out at near 50 years old, it's not going to happen, Kat. But in her mind, and this is what the left does, they create scenarios in their head and they live through these scenarios. That's why a number of them, they need some medication. They need some peace with themselves. They actually need some Jesus. Because if they can't take that they lost, then that's an issue. And this is why they keep bringing up food prices. They brought up the food prices. Let me go back to that. They did not bring up the cost of eggs. Well, again, I'm going to say this. Reason why the prices of products are going up is because people keep going in there stealing. So every time somebody steals something and they can't recover that merchandise back, they're going to raise the prices on merchandise. But who's not benefiting from stolen merchandise? The employees. Their wages aren't going up. And this is what you have to contend with when you work in the private world or when you own a business. You have to account for theft, particularly if you have inventory and you're working in the retail sector. No Sweet Chocolate Mine, we were watching this video. And this black woman was out there stealing a hell of a lot of meat. And that was $1,000 worth of meat. $1,000 worth of meat. She gonna do with all that meat? I mean, she got ribs in there, steak, stealing it. White lady was out there taking a picture. But you know what? I guarantee nothing happened to that black woman. Because nowadays, people have been so emboldened that if you catch them in the act doing something, what are they going to yell? Sexism, racism. That's what they're going to do. And that's what the left, well, I don't like dealing with the left. The left creates a lot of degenerates. That's facts, and that can't be disputed. Can't deconstruct that. The left has a lot of degenerate people. You look at Occupy Wall Street. Who are the ones marching? These youngins out here. Instead of working to compete, they were listening to the news, the left in this country back in 2011, that you have all these billionaires and millionaires. And what they do, they use people. Well, the bottom line is, this is business. They don't understand business because when you're an employee, you just go to work. And that's what the Democrats want. The Democrats really want employees. They want them to go to work and really make no money, but they want enough of the employees' tax money to supplement them with extra government benefits. That's what keeps the Democrats in power. I mean, the Democrats want the welfare state. Everybody knows that. But the bottom line is, you have individuals that don't see what's going on because they don't care what's going on. Because what's going on is the real truth out here. Now, right now, you don't have any wars going on. And I believe there's some talks going on that they might be. I said there's some talks going on, particularly after Trump gave that speech at NATO, talking about how the other countries aren't doing their part. And see, what individuals don't understand about Trump, because that's all it is too, it's about hating Trump, because Trump is an activist president. Trump is not sitting there allowing Congress to dictate everything. And then you got to also remember these judges out here. Judges are not legislators. They're litigants. They interpret law. So you have all these judges out here trying to say, well, you got this lower court judge in San Francisco trying to litigate what's best for society in Florida. It doesn't work. Bottom line is, we have so many people out here who are too stupid to see what's really going on. And again, what happened to Charlie Kirk? A lot of people haven't even heard of Charlie Kirk, particularly if they're black. And going to HBCUs, I know Phil Advise said Charlie Kirk was cooked by this black woman at a college. Well, the problem I have with Phil Advise is pro-black. He's a Democrat. That's but he's not political. He should not even be in, he thinks because a black says something is correct, he's cooking somebody. No, doesn't mean that's what he looked at. But I saw the same video, and she got cooked about DEI. First of all, you should not be promoted or given a job based on what you are. You should be getting a job based on credentials or merit or something meritorious. Now, the problem with that is you have individuals that, and this is why the workplace stinks, you have individuals that have a lot of nepotism going on. Nepotism means they're having family members work there. That's worse than DEI. You have the good old boys club. You have the good old girls club. The bottom line is you have a number of people out here who really don't know what's going on. But when it comes to real DEI, I'm going to give you my interpretation on who benefits the most from DEI. Number one is white women, Hispanic women, Asian women. Then you can throw the alphabet community in there. Then you can throw disabled people in there. Then you can throw your veterans in there. Then you can throw black people in there. Black people are right at the bottom. And it's funny, I don't even believe that a veteran should even be in DEI. Why? Because a veteran was a government employee. They served this country. They should have a lot of benefits. You have too many veterans that aren't now. That individual, by the way, that ran into that church was a Marine veteran, I believe. And he may have hated Christianity. That 40-year-old ran his truck right into that church. There's a lot that we don't know about what's going on. But you have a number of people in this country, they're full of hate. I know I was watching this guy, New Breed. He used to be one of Ringo's boys. He's got a lot of hate. The reason why he's got a lot of hate because he moved down to North Carolina, or he's been down in North Carolina and he's been exposed. Know all about him. He was one of these Hebrew Israelites. This is why I don't trust anybody in this organization, in these organizations like IS, UPK. They're anti-Semites. Now, I'm not saying if you're black, and let's get this straight too. If I'm black and I agree with something that a white person says, it does not make me a coon. What makes me a coon is if I'm snitching. That's a sellout. And believe me, that's what a number of the black women did to the slaves. They sold them out. But you look at it, they were black slave owners. That's not told. And see, there's a lot of things in history that we don't even know about. The problem is, even with statistics, this is why I don't really repeat statistics. Like 50% of black men are in jail. 50% of black men are in jail. So that means 3.5% of black men are in jail. But yet we make up 14%. So that means that we have 330 people. So out of, you take 14 per 330 million people and you take 14% of that, not even a quarter. The Hispanic population is bigger than the black population. So you take all of that, you really think there are a lot of black people doing the killing? No. It's actually, you have a higher number of whites in prison than you have blacks. That's a fact. But see, the media only comes from the urban areas. That's the problem as well. Also, I've lived in white areas where whites start acting a fool. I know I was doing a job in Frankfurt, Indiana, police activity. Whites were acting a fool. People think whites don't act a fool. They act a fool. They kill. And see, a lot of people who talk about whites and blacks, it's because they never seen whites and blacks. Talk about the blacks in the hood. They've never been outside the hood. You have some of the whites that haven't been outside their environment. So again, because they're watching television and they believe what they see on television, they run with it. Ignorance is a bliss. Now, again, for this video, might seem to some of you that I'm all over the place. No. So I was going to talk about a lot. But what I'm trying to get you to see is what's really happening out here. We have a number of individuals that don't understand what's happening out here. Now, I'm not going to wake everybody up, and you don't have to believe me. There are other content creators out there. Believe what you want to believe. But the best person to discover something is you, because I'm only giving you a perspective of what I see. And I look at people's actions. I don't hear what they say. I look at people's actions. This is what I'm trying to tell you when it comes to politics. Black people don't know about politics because they allowed themselves to be used by one party. And as a black man, the Democratic Party will never do anything for you. Now, I can understand why the black woman is going to vote Democrat, jobs, government benefits. Black men, you're not getting any of that. Remember, you just following a black woman because she's telling you to, or she won't let you sleep with her. That's why you following her, and you know it. And you coon for her. Because a number of you black men out there, you hate your father but love your mother, although your mother destroyed your father. Now, some fathers did some bad things, no doubt. Too many of you love your mothers way too much. Think your mother is God. A lot of these mothers ain't shit out here. That's the problem. You'll do anything for your mother, even go against your dad for your mother, even if your mother's wrong. This is why when it comes to dating, don't date somebody who's a divorced mom if they're raising kids, because you're going into a household where you're going to be outnumbered all the time. All the time. You know, you have to understand the crux, what's going on out here. Too many guys don't understand. Now, are all moms bad? No. But you have a number of them that have indoctrinated their kids. I mean, if the kids hate their father, what's that going to say about you? And you're expected to come in and pick up the responsibility, but you can't discipline those kids. Everybody knows that. And then you have a number of kids who are grown and still living at home. This all started back in 2000. And it's a number of Gen Xers and some late baby boomers. And instead of being grandmothers, they got the title of grandmother, but they're babysitting for their kids so their kids can go out and fuck around and play. And see, that's another thing that the Democrats encourage. They encourage women to be single, and they encourage baby mommyism. That's what they encourage. Because if you really look at it, most of the people who vote Democrat are your single women. your career-minded women. These are the ones who think they have some power because they have a little bit of education. But your job doesn't make you anybody. You can have all the money in the world and still be an asshole. And then some of you women out there think that you can put hands on a man. I've been seeing a number of videos. Men have been clapping back. Bottom line is, in the time, take with these younger men. And it's people my age who simped out. And a lot of people my age, I'm just going to say this. Stop giving advice to these youngins. Because all you're going to do, unless you're people like me who are going to give them the real truth, don't give the youngins your thinking. That's why you fucked up now. Number one, these youngins aren't going to respect you. Number two, look at you, particularly black men. And I'm proud to be black because I'm always be black. Yeah. Lighter than a number of them, but I'm still proud to be black. But the bottom line is, I look at life from a realistic perspective. I don't look at life from a social media perspective. And that's the problem. Social media, particularly black people, have put their dysfunction out there. Now, don't get me wrong, there are white people who are the same way. We have some white people putting their dysfunction out there. I've also seen it. But the bottom line is, black people put it out there all the time. And you act like you're special doing it. That's why a number of people are tired of me. You know, a number of you, because of social media, dislike white people. I don't dislike white people. I don't dislike black people. I dislike the attitudes of people who believe that they're entitled. Got individuals out there with the princess syndrome. You have people out there with deviance, and that's what the Democrats believe in. They believe in deviance. That's what they believe in. They believe in everything against tradition. That's the problem. See, the Democrats are trying to bring something in that's never worked before. Because if you think about it, out of what the Democrats they're bringing in, it's basically communism, Marxism. It's what it is. But you have a number of individuals that can't see that because they're too stuck on themselves. In fact, the Democrats will tell you you have a problem when in essence, they're the ones with the problem. They will look at a newscast of themselves and think nothing's wrong. They're like that smoker. See, it's that smoker who's smoking, but they're talking to somebody that doesn't smoke. And the person that doesn't smoke says the smoke makes you smell. Well, the one that smokes is going to say, well, I don't smell. Well, they don't smell because they're used to it. They're immune to it. We'll see what the Democrats do. They'll look at what they say on TV and they think there's nothing wrong with what they say on TV. But if they have a different view, then they look at the other person that has a different view as being the one that's incorrect. But in essence, the Democrats and the leftists, they're used to believing that bullshit that they believe in because why? They don't associate with anybody outside They're certain. They're like that smoker. They're immune to it. This is why they can get on television and lie, and they can lie blatantly. Kamala Harris did during that election. She lied very badly, and she's got a book out. Now she's coming out talking about Joe Biden. And so you have to not listen to what people say, look at what people do. Because everybody, they people can talk out of both sides of their mouths. And most of us, let's be honest, you look at the word conservatism. I'm going to tell you this, and shout out to Keep It 100 for saying this too. There are a number of us, particularly on the black side, who don't know what conservatism really is. Now, when I can tell you, I have conservative views. I'm conservative on economics, a little conservative on traditional issues, and foreign policy. I'm not for giving everything to Israel. I don't trust everything about Israel. Yeah, we're Israel's only ally, but what's Israel done for the United States? I haven't heard anything about that. I'm for being more of an imperialist instead of a globalist. Now, when it comes to the liberal side, you want to be in an interracial marriage, say, interracial marriage, that's fine. If you want to have an alternative lifestyle, that's fine. However, if I don't agree with it, don't ask me my opinion and keep your business under wraps. You don't have to let everybody know. That's the problem too, because you've act like you have the power by telling somebody that you're this and you're that, and we have to care. No, a lot of us don't care. That's the problem. That's that childlike behavior, that delusion. You want me to be impressed. I'm not impressed at all. Bottom line is, you have too many people out here that are living a lie. There are only two genders. Now, there are some individuals who are hermaphrodites. Now, what's a hermaphrodite? Hermaphrodite is a person that's born with both genitals. And see, what's really going on in this country, too, is the Democrats want to amp up the alphabet community because the alphabet community doesn't produce children. That's why the birth rates are down. And when the birth rates are down, it's very difficult to grow society. And see, when you grow society under basically single parents, particularly the mother, you grow more criminals. You do. And the reason why kids don't respect the mother, because they don't look at the mother as an authority figure. That's why. Moms will allow their kids to get away with everything. Moms are more of a friend to their kids than anything, instead of being their parents. And the kids know it. But that's what the Democrats, they support that. The Democrats support secularism because that's who they are. The Democrats are secularists. And we all know they're secularists. And they love being secularists because they think being secularists, we don't have to worry about religion. But religion has become secular as well. You have all these black pastors. They're just money hungry. They've always been money hungry. These black pastors are going to say what the women want because it's the women who are leading these black pastors and everybody knows it. And in the end, the bottom line is these black pastors are also supported by the Democrats. These protests They're paid protests. You look at the way the signs are made. These signs, if you're going to go out and make a sign, these signs aren't going to look like they come from a print shop. These signs are made from groups buying the material from a company. And some of these companies are getting paid by these protesters. These protesters are eating off of destruction. And that's what the Democrats are. Not all of them, but a number of them are destructive. They see masculinity as a problem. But going back to some of these black conservatives, some of these black conservatives call themselves conservatives because number one is many of them, they don't understand what conservative is. I'll just explain to you on why I have conservative views. But these are the individuals that it all comes down to they're against women. Well, that's on a social aspect, but that still doesn't make you conservatives. No. Bottom line, you should be an independent thinker. You should not let a party dictate to you what you think. That's the problem. Indoctrination is real. And I want people to know that indoctrination is real. People aren't going to tell you that indoctrination is not real. Well, excuse me. They're not going to tell you that indoctrination is real. CNN, here's where the delusion is, and MSNBC. Now it's MS Now. They're going to tell you they have a big audience when you look at the numbers, they got smaller audiences than YouTubers. You have people like Brandon Tatum, Tim Cass, people like Benny Johnson. Yeah, Benny Cunningham. These guys have a bigger audience than MSNBC. And see, with the audiences on YouTube, where they gain audiences from, and see, here's what the left doesn't understand. See, the left doesn't understand free speech, but you know, the left can also, and they've been doing it, they're also going on X talking. They're not restricted from going on X. Now, I don't see a number of individuals who are left wingers going to Rumble. I think they're going to Blue Sky. That's where a lot of the lefties, but a lot of the lefties are going. Now you have Discord out there, and that's really the big issue. A number of these individuals are getting the wrong information. They're dealing with individuals that are down in the dumps. They're dealing with individuals that definitely need to be helped. And that's a big problem. But see, a lot of Democrats don't understand that because they don't believe in mental health. They don't. It's because the Democrats, they keep utilizing the same playbook, thinking it's going to work for them. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to get the stupid people on their side. Now, all that identity politics used to work, but now it's not working. And what the Democrats didn't see during this election was the Hispanic vote. That's what threw the Democrats off. They thought they were going to get most of the Hispanic vote. Even with the amount of illegals that came into this country, the majority of the Hispanics voted for Donald Trump. Why? Because a number of Hispanics are very family oriented, particularly the men. The men run their households. The blacks are the only ones who actually are matriarchal. Now, just granted, you have some white single moms, Asian single moms. You have white single moms. Yeah, I said white, Asian. Yep. But for the most part, when it comes to men, other races of women respect their men, even if the men do something wrong, not blacks. And there was this individual out there saying that well, white women take a lot more off a black woman than a black woman. Well, he was a simp guy. I don't know his name, but he was a simp. He said that to try to pander. Well, the bottom line is the reason why it doesn't work all the time with black women is because a number of black women, they want a guy to already have it together. They're not going to be with a black man who's struggling. Well, the bottom line is you'll have a much better respect for somebody when you see how he made it when he makes it. See, now a white woman or the white woman is, and I'm not putting them up on a pedestal, but I'm just telling the truth. The other individuals, and I know if you don't sell a woman a pipe dream, because I know there are men out here who sell women pipe dreams too. But the bottom line is this: as a man, you're going to struggle. It's tough out here, especially if you don't have a skill. And see, that's why a number of people vote Democrat as well. These are the individuals that can't compete. They don't have skills to compete. And you also have a number of lazy people. That's the problem. Individuals that don't care about anybody but themselves. That's a big issue. But when it comes overall to who's really winning out here, the Democrats really aren't winning. But again, they're using the media. And see, that media is basically doing all of the indoctrination. Now, don't get me wrong. In the black community, I'm going back, there's the reverse Oedipus in the black community as well. The son husbands. Yeah, that all over. But the bottom line with blacks, the reason why many of them aren't going to make it because they're too busy hating Donald Trump, too busy hating white people. But you got white liberals too, and Hispanic liberals who hate Donald Trump as well. And it's funny, all this hating and protesting that they're doing is not getting them anywhere. But they're getting free range from George Soros, money. But these individuals, they don't care about anybody but themselves. This is why, with the liberal philosophy, they want utopias. They don't want anybody to. They don't want anybody to own anything. They want individuals to keep paying money, like if they have these self-driving cars and Uber owns them. Well, guess what? These cars will be able to lock themselves. Get in there, take you where you want to go. You pay money. I could see that happening. That's Uber. And also with the Democrats, you don't have a lot of competition. They don't want competition. They want monopolies. They'll tell you they don't, but they're happy when it comes to monopolies. Why? Because when there are monopolies can also always jack up the prices. That's what they do. They don't want that competition to bring prices down. But then the Democrats are going to, like the grocery stores. The reason it's not Trump's fault that the grocers don't want to bring their prices down. You got a number of people who are stealing out of these retailers and grocers. When you're stealing $1,000 worth of meat, well, what's going to happen? The price is going to go up. People aren't looking at that because they don't care to look at that. Why? Because it is against the narrative. This is why you look at history. A lot of us only know history based on what we've been taught. We don't look deep enough. And see, that's what the Democrats know. They know they can get as many ignorant people to be on their side because they're not going to be challenged. Why? Because you get individuals that don't know anything, but they claim how educated they are. They're not educated. They're delusional. And they're going to always be delusional. That's the issue. I'm just going to say this so I can wrap it up. You got to look at the world today. The world is not conservative, liberal. It's really not left versus right, Republican versus Democrat. Want to know the real truth? What's going on out here today? I'm going to tell it to you right now. The real issue out here in these cultures, five power conferences of society, religion, jobs, government, media, and education, where you have these Satanist leftists out here, comes down to this. And there's only one way of putting it out there. The issue is, and it's always been, good versus evil. I'll say it one more time. The issue and the truth. It's always been, going to continue. Unless good overtakes evil. Satanists out here, they want to keep you in chains. The good people want you to be free. But in retrospect, truth of the matter is, the war that we have going on right now, here in 2025, good versus evil. You think about that and leave a comment in my comment section. Because if you understand the truth will set you free. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. 401 Talk Zone radio show, you can find me on 2, X formerly Twitter, Rumble, and of course, True Social. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me right here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And like I said, not here to offend people. I just want you to see the truth. I want you to understand that the war that we got going on is good versus evil. And I'm just going to say this right now. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.